Good morning, everyone. This is Andre, Horizon City News. Hundreds of migrants trying to leave border apprehended at highway checkpoints by Julian Resendiz. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Resendiz. A Venezuelan migrant poses on a wooden cross during a Wednesday protest in front of the El Paso County Courthouse. El Paso, Texas. Border agents in the past few days have apprehended hundreds of unvetted migrants trying to get out of El Paso, mostly aboard commercial buses. The U.S. Border Patrol reports 420 encounters since Christmas involving either private vehicles engaged in human smuggling or foreign nationals who got on buses with the intent of traveling deep into the United States without authorization. Border agents detained at least 304 of them at highway checkpoints along Interstate 10 in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and other cities considered gateways to the interior of the country. If residents are planning to assist migrants in exiting town and facilitating transportation to migrants, they are committing a crime and could be processed under United States Code 1324, which is harboring and alien smuggling, said Carlos A. Rivera, acting supervisory agent for the United States Border Patrol. If people in El Paso want to assist these migrants, there are several non-government organizations that they can volunteer at. The spike comes as groups of Venezuelans and Central Americans who came over the border wall in recent weeks now find themselves stuck in El Paso. Several migrants gathered on Wednesday in front of the El Paso County Courthouse asking to be allowed to continue on to jobs in Florida and New York. DHS says it will continue to expel migrants under Title 42. We are asking for help with a permit to get to our destination, said Manuel, a Venezuelan taking part in the protest. To join family members or friends and be able to establish a new life, because in our country, we cannot have that. Manuel said he and other demonstrators fear being subjected to Title 42 expulsions if they try to leave El Paso, Texas. The Venezuelans said they were already on their way to lawfully petition for asylum in the United States when the Biden administration on October 12th came up with a new remote application process for up to 24,000 citizens of that South American country. It made any who cross the border without authorization amenable to Title 42 expulsions. We know they're letting some people in and not some. Every country has good and bad people, but not all of us are bad. They should do vetting and let in those of us who are just here to work, said Manuel. The demonstrators said several Venezuelans who've tried to leave the city have been apprehended and expelled to Mexico through cities far from El Paso. A friend left yesterday at 7:15 in a bus to Denver. The border agents got him off the bus. He ran to the mountains. They sent 3 drones after him, and we still haven't heard from him, said Harold, another Venezuelan at the gathering. We don't feel safe. That's why we haven't left the church, out of fear. Fear that they will grab us, put us on a bus, and send us to the other side. In Juarez, Mexico, things are more difficult. Sacred Heart, a Catholic church in South El Paso, has become the gathering place for hundreds of Venezuelans and Central Americans who have been unable to get in at shelters that require immigration documentation from their guests. Federal agencies consider churches protected areas, generally exempt from immigration enforcement actions. This also applies to schools, hospitals, and facilities that provide essential social services. Venezuelan and Central American migrants stand on the sidewalk behind Sacred Heart Catholic Church in El Paso, Texas. That's a Border Report photo you're looking at there. Courthouses are not considered protected areas, but an April 27, 2021 memo from the then acting commissioners of U.S. Customs Enforcement, CBP, and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, mandated immigration enforcement actions in or near courthouses to be executed only if the individual represents a public safety risk. Such enforcement is preferable outside of buildings and should not lead to the arrest of non-targeted individuals, according to the memo.
Topping our newscast this afternoon, a group of migrants marching from Sacred Heart to the El Paso County Courthouse, protesting inhumane treatment. Our KTSM 9 News reporter Tawny Davis is live in downtown El Paso with more details. Hey, Tawny.
Well, Jasmine, you can see behind me there are dozens of migrants here in front of the Enrique Moreno courthouse protesting inhumane treatment, according to the leader or the organizer of this protest, Sandra Grace Martinez. We also spoke to some of the migrants here, and they just told us they just want a chance, as well as like the other migrants here in the city. And Sandra Grace Martinez told us that she has seen, who is from San Antonio, I might add, she has seen inhumane treatment here and wants to give them the opportunity to find their families. We also spoke to another woman who says that she came from Panama and doesn't really understand why they are all here as well. Now you can see here that they're all quietly protesting. There are no violent outbursts here at all. A lot of migrants here, you can see art here as well from local artists around El Paso. Crosses, the American flag is here as well. They're just waiting so they could possibly speak to any of the members of the County Commissioner's Court. I was asked if they were here in there today. Now we will show you and tell you what exactly both the migrants and the organizers said about what the outcome they hope for this protest later tonight on KTSM 9 News at 5. I'm Tawny Davis. Back to you, Jasmine.
The purpose of such policies is not to discourage the public, regardless of immigration status, from seeking essential services. Legal migrant questions U.S. immigration policies. Migrants apprehended by the Border Patrol who claim asylum and pass a screening and credible fear interview are placed on parole and given a notice to appear, NTA, in immigration court for a process that could last years. That's a document those who came into the country avoiding contact with authorities lack. Sarah Isabel Pantoja, an El Paso resident who splits time in her native Panama, said she is uncomfortable with some aspects of the historic migration at the border. CBP building new migrant processing facility in El Paso. The international airport is a charter. What is going on in El Paso, Texas, she asked, as she encountered the protest at the county courthouse. She believes President Biden allowed more immigration to please Democratic voters, and now the administration doesn't know what to do with the surge. My question to the migrants is, why the United States? If they have the opportunity to stay in any country in Central America, why the United States? Pantoja said, in Panama, we don't have welfare, food stamps, medical benefits. If they stay in Panama, they have to work. They have to do something. In the United States, they get everything for free. A number of pro-immigration activists also showed up at the protest in support of the Venezuelans. An artist brought 3 large wooden crosses where some of the Venezuelans agreed to pose on.
The 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act is a fundamental break in the history of American immigration law because it overturns the national origin system of quotas. In 1924, you have a law that defines people who can come here according to what nation they're from, and it's very unequal. So Britain gets the highest quota. And of course, you still have exclusion covering most of Asia. In 1965, the law says everybody is equal. It opens up a new stream of migration, primarily from Asia and Latin America. And so it changes the character and complexion of American immigration.
Repeat after me. I hereby declare on oath that I renounce all allegiance and fidelity.
It's part of the Civil Rights movement in the sense that it is the moment in which the United States is really trying to remove racial and national criteria from the law. Because you see in that period from 1964 and 65, 3, not just 2 acts passed, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and the Immigration and Nationality Act, and all of them are very important to bringing the nation more into line with its professed ideals of inclusiveness and liberty and justice for all.